It's late September, and on the edge of the Cotswolds, drivers and navigators begin assembling at the Holt Hotel for the weekend's Hero Challenge. Clerk of the course, Guy Woodcock, eases wary newcomers into the sometimes baffling world of map and tulip navigation. And the introduction is a must, or at the very least, a should-do, for anyone interested in pursuing the sport.
What we've got here is basically it's our newcomer training day. It's designed for people who want to do our blue and green events, so the easier events.
My father invested in a classic car and he wanted to do a rally, so we've turned up here today to maybe get to grips with what we actually have to do.
Regularity rallying combines the skills of both the driver and navigator working together as a team. Regularities on public roads require not only intricate navigation but also precise timings, and it is not unusual for a few seconds to separate competitors over the distance of an entire rally.
Got, I think, about half the people doing the training are doing the one-day event tomorrow, so they're doing the training and then they're straight into a real event, which will hopefully give them a great advantage. As you leave the start, the marshal should, if you've left on time, put 9:01.
I think the learning curve really starts when you actually start doing the rally. I think it's going to be in those sort of really stressful moments that you actually start learning properly.
Not going to be anywhere near the exact times, but somewhere near. Hopefully.
Yeah. I think by the time we ended up on the summer trial, our last 5 regularities were like 0.01, 0.2 second penalties. So we'd mastered it, but
that would be
it takes a while.
Drivers also have the opportunity to show off their skills behind the wheel, with several against-the-clock tests on closed racetrack conditions.
And that's only related to the number of pulses that the trip meter is picking up from your wheel or from your speedo. We've got a double event tomorrow. We've got the National B event, which starts first, which is part of the HRCR Championship. And that's a complicated event with map reading and lots of navigation, and that's where you've got the best crews in the UK in this sport coming along. It's part of the National Championship, and any crew in the top sort of 10 can win it tomorrow. And then the second event is what we call our Clubman event, and that's basically the stuff that people have been shown today. So it's a totally different event, 2 separate sets of results, 2 separate sets of awards.
The Hero Challenge is the 5th event in the Hero Cup 2017, which kicked off with a trip to the legendary motorsport mecca of the Isle of Man in March for the 3 Legs of Man. After some fierce competition in mostly adverse weather and a challenging night driving section, John Abel, aided by Mark Appleton, took the win. The championship then moved on to more exotic destinations, with April's epic London to Lisbon rally, the spoils of which were hotly contested over 9 days of thrilling competition in some of the most breathtaking and challenging locations. Paul Crosby and Martin Taylor claimed top spot by journey's end. Maintenance and management were key elements of May's summer trial, which offered a 3-day blast around the charming heart of rural England. Despite brief periods of rain, teams were treated to beautiful scenery and ambitious tests, including the hill climb at Shelsley Walsh, The end result saw the multi-talented duo of Andy Pullen and Paul Crosby take the win, even though they'd swapped driver and navigator seats. July brought us the Royal Automobile Club's 1,000-mile trial and a stunning parade of pre-war cars. In mostly glorious summer sunshine, these magnificent machines were a delight to see on the leafy lanes of England's green and pleasant land. Once again, in the driver's seat, Paul Crosby stole the show, this time guided by navigator Ali Proctor. After the first 4 rounds, the ultra-competitive and 2-time champion Paul Crosby leads the race for the Hero Cup title, stretching out a decent lead over Jane Wignall, Nigel Perkins and Stephen Owens. Martin Taylor finds himself in the top spot for the Golden Roma, ahead of the closely placed Ian Canavan, Pete Johnson and Trina Harley.
We're here again on the Hero Challenge, and what we're doing a bit differently this time is we've got a car with a roof. Now normally we jump in an Ulster or K3 or something like that, but today we're in a Mini. So we've got a little Mini Cooper S, which I own with my brother, and so he and I are going to be driving the car, navigating, and win the National B Championship, and so hopefully we'll have a good result tomorrow.
Well, this is number 5 for us, and it was our very first rally way back about 4 or 5 years ago. And so it was our way into the historic rallying, and it's been fantastic. We kind of use it as our benchmark to see how we're doing year on year. But it's a one-day event, it's great fun, you meet lots of people. We've just met so many great friends now, in fact, through this. And so it used to be called Throckmorton's, now called the Hero Challenge, and we thoroughly enjoy it. It's a great weekend out.
It's a very good event. We've done it for a number of years, and it's the last event we'll do this year, and it was unmissable.
We just love using the old car. It's just an excuse to get out. We bought the car to rally, so we use it, we rally it.
If you have a classic car, you need to do something with it. And this is a fun way of actually using classic cars rather than just owning them and polishing them. It's 1972, started 96, so it's the second rally. I'm hoping to come halfway. It's not much of an ambition, but it's much better than last time.
Under the careful eye of the on-site scrutineers, all cars must first go through an obligatory and very thorough roadworthiness inspection. It's the perfect opportunity to find out more about the competitors.
I really wanted to do an event, so I bought this car 2 years ago, and I did the event last year, and with a new navigator this time, a complete virgin to being a navigator, and so we're out to have a bit of fun and thoroughly enjoy ourselves.
We've come back for our second trial with Hero, very much looking forward to it. We've only had the car 4 weeks, so we're not sure how it's going to go, but fingers crossed. Scrutineering seems to be going well. So wish us luck.
I've played with rallying for years and racing, and this is a chance for my wife Ruth to have a go, and hopefully we'll still be married afterwards. The car is a 1962 Tornado Talisman, one of 85 made, tubular steel chassis, steel or plasticine, I'm not sure. And then in 63 they brought the road tax out, so that whole massive industry died when you could buy a Mini for less than one of those, and a Mini was a lot better. So, but there's quite a following for these things.
I've been wanting to do a UK regularity event for quite some time. I've done some events in Germany on a very novice level, and decided to come over and do this event. I brought a 1955 MG Magnet ZA. They weren't very successful, but they were used a lot in period as competition cars in rallying. They did the Monte Carlo and a lot of the Tulip rallies in period.
For some crews, early mechanical gremlins were already throwing spanners into the works.
So we brought the BMW out for the first time in about a year, and all seemed to be going very well, and then suddenly I didn't have any gears. First, third and fifth had gone. So I came most of the way here on the second and the fourth. But Kevin the Magician's just fixed it for us, so it looks like we've got gears again, so that'll be fantastic.
Our poor little car has somehow broken an engine mount, so the whole engine has dropped down. We're just really lucky actually that we managed to get to the start of the rally, because it could have blown up ages ago, to be honest. So we're seeing if there's absolutely anything we can do so that we can compete tomorrow. But at the moment, it's not looking good.
No, and this will be the first event that we haven't been able to start.
Yeah.
We thought we'd have a go, really. 2 aged men retiring, something to keep us occupied. Keep us out of the wives' hair, really. I think they're very pleased we're away.
we might run the fitting. So rally timer comes.
We had a bit of fun trying to calibrate our trip meter. The instructions weren't that simple, but a very nice young lady helped us do it. And so we got that sorted now. We fitted a clock. Slight technical problem, the speedometer's packed up, so we're going to have a look at that in a minute. Tomorrow, if we get back to the hotel, we will think it a success. And if we do any better than that, it'll be a great success.
As usual, the eclectic array of classic machinery as well as exotic footwear had turned up. A record 120 cars were entered into the rally, and as scrutineering comes to an end, participants let out a collective sigh of relief as everyone passes. Crews for both the Hero events and the HRCR Championship sign on, set their stopwatches and collect route instructions. As the training and scrutineering day comes to a close, many decide to navigate their way to the bar to prepare in their own ways for whatever the morning would bring. Rally day dawns, dull and overcast, but thankfully dry.
Good morning. Here we are again indeed. Isn't it exciting?
So you brought the same Puff again?
Brought Puff again. Bless her heart, she's running nicely now. We've solved all the issues we had on Lisbon and 3 legs a man. So she's running really well now. She's like a new car, almost, for an old girl. And hopefully, she'll do well.
Getting a bit excited now. The event's just about to start, and the car's all ready. I'm not sure I am yet, but still waking up.
So far, it's going really well, but we haven't started yet. The tests, I think, will be a challenge for us because we've not been to Bicester before, and we've got a fairly low-powered car, and it looks quite open and wide. And the regularities, well, it's the same for everybody, really.
The bad news is we don't know what we're doing. The good news is we know we don't know what we're doing.
All the way through each of the letters.
We're having a discussion as to whether the point marked as the end of the regularity is in fact on a junction or to the left of the junction.
And what do you think?
I think it's Mr. Woodcock playing tricks again.
In the tail of the...
We had a bit of a drama yesterday. Halfway to scrutineering in the morning, I felt this rather scalding water on my feet and discovered that we'd lost the core plug. So all the water came out of the engine, so we had to stop, get that replaced. We arrived here and then the trip meter broke, so we put a new resistor into the little 6-volt conversion box, did half the measured mile, and then that broke. So we came back here, we have no trip meter, but I'm here as the driver, my co-pilot is here, and hopefully we'll have a good day because everything went wrong yesterday.
Just had a rear tail light go out, so as dramas go, it was an easy one.
Miraculously, the White Sisters were still in the competition.
Well, we managed to get Stanley fixed last night. It was a huge collaboration from loads of different people. One guy brought the part from Milton Keynes. The mechanic stayed up really late to fix it. And at the moment, she's running. We did the measured distance at like 10 o'clock last night, got fuel. So fingers crossed, we're going to be okay today.
The morning of the one-day event would see the crews leave HQ at the Holt Hotel and head directly to Bicester Heritage for the first of 3 separate visits. 2 regularities would follow the test, taking us to the morning coffee stop. The 3rd regularity directs teams back to Bicester Heritage for the 2nd set of tests before heading back to HQ for lunch. In the quest to secure the National B HRCR Championship, competition was as fierce as always among some pretty familiar faces.
Always hoping for a win, but there's some pretty good crews out there, so it's going to be difficult, but we'll do our best.
Always go out looking for a win, hopefully defend it from last year, car 1, so yeah, looking forward to it. John Abel is car 2 in another escort, and we've got Paul Crosby and my dad's biggest rival probably in the Porsches, and then of course Simon and Ryan in the MR2, which will go well around the test today.
The number 1 car of Matt Warren and Andy Pullen would lead the field away on what would be a crucial event for Warren's HRCR Championship campaign.
I've never done a hero event before, but we're doing the HRCR Championship, so it's good. I'm enjoying the championship and I'm looking forward to today. It's a Volvo P1800, 1964. It's a Saint car, but driven like the Saint never drove it.
Well, we've decided to set ourselves up for the pain of Le Jog at the end of this year, and we thought we'd better go and figure out what the hell to do. So we're coming to do this one first, to shake the car down, shake the navigator down, and work it all out for Le Jog.
We've got a lot of rust to polish off today because it's a long time since we last rallied. Bit of a shakedown for everybody concerned, including the car. So, but we're looking forward to it. Lots of good tests, hopefully.
You're studying the tests before you get there?
Yes. And then when Sue reads them out, well, I've got some idea. But then you don't know the distances, you see. It's an easy one, the first one, and then of course they get a bit more complicated as you go along. Bit of a problem, I'm dyslexic, so I should go anyway.
Well, it would appear that my navigator has got lost coming from our hotel to the start. And this car here, 51's right ahead of us, so we're due to start any second now. And I've got no navigator. I'm stuck here on my own. So it looks like we're going to have to retire before the event even starts.
But before most of the crews had even left the start, Matt Warren and Andy Pullen were seen coming back.
So, yeah, first test, set off, did the first loop, came out back onto the tarmac road, and I think we have got the shaft, it's gone. So yeah, short and sweet today. Championship over now because I'm only going to do 7 events now because I'm not doing Devon next week, and then the final event Devils we are doing, but that's only 7 and 8 count. So yeah, championship over.
With Warren and Pullen left licking their wounds, the rest of the National B competitors were the first to tackle the 5 tests at the former World War II bomber base. Crosby and Proctor attacked right from the start, displaying some adept manoeuvring. They were, however, closely matched by the feisty MR2 of Mellings and Pickering. John Abel and Martin Taylor in their rally-prepared Escort were also of a determined mindset, which secured them a strong 3rd position overall on the first group of tests. Keeping up the family name, driver Howard Warren put in a solid performance, but it was ultimately Crosby who claimed bragging rights on the top spot, beating by 5 seconds the father and son team of Thomas and Roger Bricknell in their VW Golf.
10 seconds.
How hard can it be? That's famous last words, aren't they?
I think we have a lot more success than we have earlier in the year when we broke a half shaft. So we'll keep going anyway. We'll have a good day. Thanks very much.
The competition was no less fierce further down the entry list with a humble Morris Minor of Brian and Janet Dwelly. Jonathan Hancock and Richard Lambley were true to their word, definitely polishing the rust off in their Triumph TR4. Meanwhile, over in the palatial Rover 100 of Hammond and Simpson.
Where are we now? Up there. Up there. Tango, Golf, Yankee, Papa.
Stop where it says stop, don't we?
Marcus Atkinson and brother William were finding their Mini Cooper S well suited to the loose surface.
30 seconds.
As the field passed by the stricken escort of Warrant and Pullin, Angus Forsyth and Sue Dagley in Little George the Austin Ulster were getting to grips with the navigation. Well, almost. Late entrant Andy Lane and Pete Johnson proved the cream of the Clubman section, performing fastest on 2 tests and second fastest on a further 2 of the 5 tests. The first Bicester Heritage experience had certainly turned out to be a dizzying affair, with crews circumnavigating cone after cone after cone.
Did you enjoy that?
Well, that's debatable.
It's interesting.
But Bicester had not been kind to yet another crew. Ken Jones and Charles Hughes had failed to even make it to test 2.
We think we've over-revved the engine coming round test 1 and it's dropped the valve. The collets have jumped out and we can't get him back in, so that's it. So Ken's gone back to get the tow car and we'll be on our way home before long. It's a shame, but it's what happens.
Having completed the first batch of tests at Bicester Heritage, the crews venture northeast for the first of the day's 7 regularities. The routes of these regularities skirted the villages of Tinchwick, Evenley and Akeley. Even on such an overcast day, these quaint Oxfordshire villages, the leafy lanes and the freshly cut fields of barley still made for a most pleasant autumn drive. Both National B and the Clubman's competitors followed the same route, but each using different types of navigation. The National B competitors utilised maps only, while the Clubman's competitors were able to make use of the slightly less stressful tulip diagrams. The mid-morning coffee stop at Boycott Farm Shop in Stowe allowed a welcome break for both experienced and novice crews to catch their breath.
How were the tests for you this morning?
Interesting. I actually managed to power slide up Rover P4, which took some doing, really, and got it back under control, I think. So they were fun. I think we got it. Didn't actually have to correct ourselves. We had to stop and check once, though.
It's great so far, actually. It's good fun. Don't quite know yet what we're meant to be doing. So I've had a few people quite close to us behind us. But yeah, I think we're doing well. We're enjoying it. And
which is the most important thing.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So here, 19 from 16.
Regularity rallying requires performing a certain amount of maths, as Ellie Toucher was finding out from her father, Mike Tanswell.
14 seconds out there, so 24 seconds in total.
Young Matthew Vincent was back again with Dad, John.
I kind of messed up on the second regularity towards the end. We got a 12-second time penalty, and then it went to a 13. So, not a good start so far, but I mean, it's better than going into 20s though, isn't it?
Better than getting lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's great. It's
Really
not.
enjoying it.
It hasn't been too difficult.
Although I don't think we go very quickly around the cones. To be honest.
No, the cones.
We're struggling a bit on that one. But
Thank you, sir.
Car 74.
We made a couple of mistakes. It's our first time out, so it's actually a lot rougher than we thought. So, but very exciting.
When it's going well, it's fabulous. But then, when you think you may have missed a junction, it gets a bit more concerning.
I don't know. But, yeah, it's good fun.
It's great fun. Really.
The car's using a lot of oil. Depositing a lot of oil.
Yeah, we're learning on the job, shall we say.
A hero rally just wouldn't be a hero rally without a water splash. And despite the drier conditions this autumn, the Ford at Akeley would do the job just fine. The third regularity of the morning would take us from Boycott Farm Shop to the east of Lake Hampstead. The route plan offered up the spectacle of crisscrossing cars going in different directions at the same junction. The second visit to Bicester Heritage for Test 6, 7 and 8 was once again on a mixture of gravel and tarmac. The start of Test 6 was described as a free turn, and it was left completely up to the crews as to how they would negotiate the 360-degree spin. It was perhaps a little surprising to see just how many variations can be found, all in the quest for a simple U-turn. Back on solid tarmac, and it was the smaller, more powerful and nimble machines that led the way. Nick Van Praag's demented driving of his Austin A35 didn't at first seem to impress navigator Jan Titgat. But that all changed once Van Praag started rearranging the cones with his beautifully executed handbrake turn, much to the bemusement of the watching marshals. The Sunbeam Talbot of Dominic and Tom Ankeleri looked more like a sailing yacht swaying side to side. Affectionately named Little George, Angus' full-size Austin Ulster was proving quite the handful as he steered around the course. However, Forsyth managed to time at 2 minutes 46 on Test 6, which just kept them clear of the relegation zone.
How's it going?
We did really well, except for the fact that we missed 5 marshals on the last run. Apart from that, it was fine.
We're living the dream.
By lunchtime back at headquarters, Crosby and Proctor were top of the National B standings, with Abel and Taylor just 4 seconds behind.
He's doing better than us.
Only by a couple of seconds. So really close, yeah. Anyone's game.
It was a good morning, I thought. Good open test to get going. An interesting race.
Quite a tough morning so far. Pleasant lanes, friendly locals, but a couple of the speed changes we had a few issues with, but on the whole, it seems to be going okay.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, yes. I got a 20-second early on the second regularity. I mistook the cards for the 18-mile-an-hour one. But never mind, onward and upward.
Father, son, granddaughter, Dad's car, as well as my Mini over there, which I'm driving. So this is Emily's first event. So really, Emily, are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I am. I really like it. I don't know what I was to expect though. So I'm still really unsure what to think.
She's doing really well, really well. Haven't got lost. Managed to get around all the tests. She was laughing most of the way around the tests. And she's already been asking when's the next rally.
I've just got my car back after an engine rebuild, and it's just suited to these tests ideally. The tests are excellent. The regularities are very testing. There's some really tricky bits in the regularities where you've got a change of speed immediately after a time control or shortly after a time control, which is making it very testing for a lot of people. But it's a great rally. The weather's good. The marshals are enjoying it. We're enjoying it enormously, and it's just a very, very good rally. Nicely set out, and I'm really excited and looking forward to this afternoon.
It's been a fun morning. I think this afternoon's going to be more testing.
The afternoon's competition would consist of a regularity straight after lunch, followed by the third and final visit to Bicester Heritage for 3 more tests. Then 3 further regularities would sea cruise, negotiating the lanes to the finish. Andy Lane and Pete Johnson in the Clubman section were just about holding off the Robertsons as the 4th regularity got underway. The regularity saw all competitors navigating by maps for the 11-mile section. However, in order to add a little spice, the National B competition navigation had no less than 12 speed changes. Another navigational conundrum for the less experienced was when, at one point, they passed rally traffic going in the opposite direction at the Scissor Junction outside Stoke Lynn. Just another one of the route planners' little jokes. Bicester Heritage is now home to an array of classic car businesses, and so is a fitting venue for the Hero Challenge. Our final visit was the last chance for a thrash around the cones. By now, it was clear that the usual front runners were making a bid for the business end of the leaderboard. putting in a determined and indeed valiant attack in order to close the gap to Crosby and Proctor. John Abel and Martin Taylor threw everything they had into the battle, but would they win the war? And there to greet crews at the timing point was none other than Andy Pullen. Warren Sr., guided by Ian Tully, was also in hot pursuit of the silverware and posted times consistently in the top 10. It seemed that there was no shortage of determined driving throughout the field as everyone got into the spirit of the day.
Potholes are a bit big for these old girls. The potholes back there are massively big for these old cars, but they're all right, they're good fun.
Still in one piece, isn't it?
Still in one piece, yeah. So it's going well.
We're getting better.
Definitely getting better.
By now, the National B and the Clubman's participants have become completely mixed, and a steady stream of crews, both experienced and novice, complete the final tests. We then headed once again for the open road. 3 further regularities would wind up the day and take us to journey's end back at Rally HQ. The Clubman competitors were back on tulip-style navigation, making life a little easier for the newcomers and ensuring that they actually found their way home. Steve and Julia Robertson kept their heads and came from behind to overtake Andy Lane and Pete Johnson, a position they would hold until the end by a mere 2 seconds. For the rest of our intrepid competitors, the final regularities negotiated in the late autumn sunshine capped off what had been a challenging event. As the crews returned to base, there were obviously mixed views on their own performances.
We've had a fantastic day. We've had ups, we've had downs, we've gone wrong, and we've repaired it, and we've just laughed, and it's been brilliant.
We'll have a look on the board.
But would they be cumulative? So if we've gone 10 minutes early and then something late, I'm trying to learn from him, and sometimes it gets a bit fraught. A lovely father-daughter relationship. No, joking, we've had a nice day. We've had a nice day.
The tests, I don't know, we thought we were doing okay on the tests, but the times we seem to be a little bit behind some of the other guys. But to be fair, the guys that have finished ahead of us are all, there's one Porsche that Paul Crosby's obviously a more powerful 911 than this, and then the other cars that are ahead of us are all sort of are mostly modern cars. So yeah, by our standards, not as happy as we'd like to be, but it's still not bad.
This morning was a load of rubbish. Made far too many mistakes, but the afternoon was good. Yeah, it was very good. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, during the tests, I mean, we wanted to go out with a bang, and then we didn't spin this time.
No spins, no
spins. We controlled it quite well. The regularity before that, we did all right on, I would say.
Yeah, we had 2 zeros and 2 ones on one of them, so we had a good afternoon.
Tests have been absolutely magic. It's certainly been hard working in Navigator C, getting everything on the map and all the speed changes, but we've certainly had good fun, and I think at the minute we're down seconds at the minute, so that's been a good day all round.
I don't think we were last, but not far off. But we did well, the car ran beautifully. We didn't have any problems with the car at all, she ran really beautifully. Frida did a wonderful job. We're doing another rally next weekend down in Devon, and we'll get better and better with practice.
We did the summer trials, that was our first rally. Encouraged and enthusiastic to the end, we came back today.
We seem to have got worse over the last year, though. I don't know whether it's the lack of practice or the fact we've got more gear, but we seem to have overcomplicated things to the point of getting it a bit wrong.
We bought a lot of gear, and it didn't help that much. And a new car.
So it went okay according to that. At the moment we're sitting in the top 10, which we're pleased with. Only one mistake with a missed plot, which cost us a minute and probably the class win. So we're kind of happy today.
It was good fun. Not quite as accurate as we thought we were going to be, but hey, we're back at the hotel at the end of the day, so the end bit of navigation worked, I suppose.
It was good.
It was good. Yeah, we got there. Good fun.
As the spoils were shared out, there were smiles all around, and with so many categories, no one went home empty-handed.
No, the same car, it just rotated.
In the Clubman section, Steve and Julia Robertson took top spot by just 2 seconds from Andy Lane and Pete Johnson. Matthew and Dode Pierce picked up third. Crosby and Proctor led from start to finish to claim another victory by just 7 seconds from Abel and Taylor. Simon Mellings and Ryan Pickering claimed a strong third.
No, Ali said he was going to say a few words. No. I like Ali because I look tall next to him. Really pleased to have won it with my mate Ali here, who did a cracking job all day. Did a top job, and we just had a load of fun. We had a great day.
Luckily, he was fastest on the test, so yeah, it was very exhilarating. Enjoying the 911 to its full, and yeah, really consistent on the irregularities. So surprised and really pleased. Just a great result.
We had no catastrophic errors. Often we'll do reasonably well and then do something really stupid, and we both of us managed not to do that today.
Yes, there was only one error that fortunately there was no traffic and we were able to catch the timer.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Consistency, definitely.
And not arguing too much.
No major fallings out.
It's been brilliant, quite tiring trying to keep on top of it all and doing the routes, but I enjoyed it, and especially liked the map section that wasn't there last time I did it. So it was all tulips at the last race, so this is really good, with a bit more challenge, a bit more of an interesting element to it to try to push yourself.
Well, we were 37th at lunch and we finished 16th overall, so I did a little victory dance earlier. Quite chuffed with that. You know, first time navigating for Kerry. Just wanted to come and have a blast.
I enjoyed it, it's good.
I love the tests. I'm not sure about this one.
No, the tests are good. I enjoyed the tests, it's fun. Yeah.
I think one of the marshals was trying to wind us up. He was telling me that my navigator was looking a bit shell-shocked.
I wasn't looking shell-shocked. Well, no more than usual anyway, but that's just me.
The Golden Roma for navigators still has Martin Taylor on top by a narrow margin from Pete Johnson, with Ian Canavan close behind in third. The Hero Cup for drivers had an all-too-familiar ring to it, with Paul Crosby stretching his lead over Jane Wignall and Stephen Owens.
It's great fun. Whoever I got sitting next to me, I'm really pleased that I've got some great guys who sit next to me and tell me where I'm going wrong. So I don't care who it is, I have as much fun with all of them.
Join us next time on the RAC Rally of the Test as the fight for the titles continues.